time. I didn't know. I have 5,000, so,
Hi. I'll explain later about that. Hi, this is Kathy Mason from Mason Works Marketing, and I'm here today on Conscious Business Zone with my dear friend Brigitte Mars. Hi, Brigitte.
Hi, bless you.
So today we're going to talk about conscious choices, because Brigitte is an expert on all sorts of ways to eat better, to live better, to be more conscious in everything you do and say and show up. So Brigitte, tell us how did you start on this path? Because ever since I've known you, and I've known you 15, 20 years. Not that we're that old, but.
Well, I think even as a youth, I knew that this is what I wanted to do. I was blessed to have this wonderful French-Canadian grandmother, and she didn't call herself an herbalist, but she was so full of what my parents call old wives' tales. But I saw that they really worked. My cousins and I all, ran around with little medicine bags with garlic stuck in them, and flax seeds every day. And she made her own soap. Her idea of ice cream was to put maple syrup that we made on snow. But I think at a very young age, I decided I want to be able to do that. This is really great to know the names of the plants and what you can eat and what you can use as medicine. And even in high school, anytime I had a paper to do, I would turn it into something to learn about herbal medicine. So if I had to write a paper, in French, I'd write about, medicinal herbs during the French Revolution, or, plantas medicinales de Mexico, or I was always trying to further my knowledge, because I thought this is medicine for the people.
Right. Well, and you had a wealth of knowledge and access to someone who had a wealth of knowledge. And a lot of those information sources are gone now. So is that what drives you to share the information?
Well, I think as a child, I really didn't like getting shots. And I remember having this, experience where my younger sister, had this terrible rash. And my parents took her to all kinds of specialists and, prednisone cream and all that. And I remember saying to my parents in the beginning, it started when you started using that chemical bubble bath that was widely advertised on TV. And, 3 specialists later and multiple tubes of cortisone and anti-inflammatories and all this, it was the bubble bath. So I thought, I'm a detective and I don't want to just, treat people by giving them a remedy. I want to figure out what's causing this. And I think at, 10 years old, I would get up in the morning and, pour myself cereal, and I would read the labels and see all the artificial flavors and colors. And I thought, this doesn't sound like it comes from nature. Maybe that is what is making people sick. So I think even at 10, I was already a health advocate.
Wow. Well, you have a vast library of products and services that you've created. And I just have a few of these here, but I know I've had DVDs and I've gifted a lot of your work. What is, is most of your work body, mind, spirit? Does it, because you helped with Kimba's music, you've done, you do nature walks, herb walks, you teach people how to actually identify plants. And I know when I came over to your house one time, we did stinging nettle tea that you just went out and cut the nettles. So what do you have like an umbrella that you consider when you're putting together your next project?
Well, it certainly is body, mind, and spirit, because, there's really not any separation. We know that the mind can affect the body and the body can affect the mind. And one of my latest books, the home reference to holistic health and healing, is all about natural remedies for depression and anger and grief and fear. But I say that the umbrella for me is as we help the planet, we help ourselves. And as we help ourselves, we help the planet. So when we choose natural remedies, somehow there's going to be a field of, echinacea or garlic or St. John's wort that's going to be, habitat for the bees and the butterflies and providing oxygen for the planet. So, I'm just trying to make this available. And I feel like we've really been bamboozled. That it's said that the average American recognizes over 1,000 logos and the products they're associated with, and yet less than 5 plants or 5 birds in their area. So I want people to realize that those things that they're spraying or pulling up out of the ground were the ancestors of the vegetables that we're eating. And very often those wild weeds, the lamb's quarter, the purslane, the dandelion greens, are more nutritious than what you can buy in the store. And I love the idea that very often a salad or a juice that I make was growing 5 minutes ago, and there's this amazing amount of chi or life force or prana that you can't buy from things that are, shipped from another state and trucked for thousands of miles.
Right. Well, I understand. I don't want to diss on marketing because that's what I do, but about the logos. But I think there's been an intentional dumbing down of our access to that higher knowing. And so what you're offering is more than, you are very prolific. How many books and DVDs and CDs do you have?
Well, I've written 14 books. My latest is Natural First Aid, and it even has in it like what to do for a hurricane and earthquake and tornado and flooding and finding water when there is none. Because, all around the world, people are dealing with crises. And I probably have 10 DVDs and a few CDs out. And I'm having a really, wonderful time because my prayer every day is to be of service. And I feel if I can, help people. And again, Kathy, I'm not against marketing. I just think we should be marketing good things that raise consciousness in our environment. Yeah.
Me too. And of course, I wasn't trying to defend. I think that in the 50s, we learned how to spell certain things, and the jingles we hated the most is what imprinted in our brain. And that was intentional. There was a manipulation, but what this is an empowerment. What you're offering is a way for anyone very easily. Just even eating raw. This book, it's so easy, and you don't have to necessarily be a vegan to do this. You can just add lots of raw, fresh food, either grown locally or organic food into your diet, and change your vitality. We are vital beings, and if we're not feeding ourselves,
it's kind of tragic, Kathy, but when people feel bad, they say things like, I'm zapped, I'm fried, I'm burnt out. And yet we do that to our food. And so, yes, I do advocate, eat a big salad every day, eat some of your sunflower seeds and pumpkin seeds raw. A raw one will sprout. A roasted tamarind one will not.
Yes. So the thing that's also cool about you is that your daughter took up a lot of this as well, and so that you impressed. Usually daughters, well, a lot of times daughters don't follow in their mother's footsteps, and so that's really has to be gratifying that your daughter Rainbow has really embraced what you're doing as well.
I'm so grateful. Rainbow Mars, she certainly went through her thing of rebellion, and I have a daughter named Sunflower as well, and I think that they both really do their best. But I see Rainbow on TV shows like Good Morning America. Beverly Hills Mom gives out worms for Halloween. They left out that it was with soil and dirt and compost and seeds. Beverly Hills family digs up yard to grow edible weeds. And I'd say both, Sunflower and Rainbow, really do live a holistic lifestyle. And Rainbow does it very public because she's in Hollywood. And, God bless them. Sunflower teaches children. And I feel that, that's another great way. We need to start when the kids are young. And
yeah. Well, and so much of this is, as I'm almost a grandmother, as a almost grandmother and mother, we learn through teaching our kids. So it's never too late. That's the other good news, is that you can get on the bandwagon right now and still have the benefit of all of it. So I want you to know there's quite a few people on, and Zach Bergen said, why is treating the dandelion a weed so ubiquitous? Can I just grab the leaves and throw them in my shake instead of kale? No, I'm not kidding. I think the watering, mowing, weeding, watering, mowing of lawns is a travesty and crazy, yet so many partake like zombies, repeating an insane pattern day after day.
Zach, you are so right on, because America is using a third of its nation's water supply to water grass, which is a crop that most people do not eat unless you're a goat or a cow. And, we can't afford to continue doing that as we see our world population soaring, people having lawns to grow grass, which is really just a sign of being, bourgeois, really, to grow something that isn't going to be used. And then not to mention all the fuel and noise that we create in our neighborhood, the bad smells, the waking you up at 7 o'clock on Sunday morning thing. We do not need to do that. And yet dandelion leaves are considered one of the top 5 most nutritious vegetables. The leaves are tastiest in the spring. The flowers are edible. The root is edible. Zach, I have an ebook out. It's called Dandelion Medicine. I didn't know that. On Amazon. It's done by Story Publishing, and it's got hundreds of recipes and remedies, because, dandelion is the first food for the bees in the springtime. If we want to do something to help the bees, we will let the dandelions flourish. The flowers are high in lutein, good for our eyes. And you know what? You can even boil the long stems like noodles. Boil them in water for 2 minutes and then saute them with some garlic and olive oil, and you've got pasta.
Really? Okay, so my grandmother, I think on my father's side, made dandelion wine. And I never heard of, I don't know if by the time it's fermented, it has any nutrients left, but I still have a lawn, so I'm feeling guilty a little bit. But most of my neighborhood, a lot of my neighborhood has xeriscape. So maybe someday you'll come over and show me what I could do to it.
And one simple thing that Americans could do is start growing their grass lawn, turn it into a clover lawn, because it only grows like maybe 3 or 4 inches, and it produces flowers that are wonderful fodder for the bees. And it still is short enough that you can play Frisbee and,
Yeah, I think I do already have some of that growing anyway. So Zach put, don't get me started about noise. Bingo. A shared loving moment, and nice. Thanks. And then there's other people on here that are saying, Lisa now says excellent input. So Brigitte, how do you, I know you teach a lot. Oh, good. And Kathy Bachman just said, to counteract diabetes, eat 10 dandelion stems for 10 days, is what she said. But dandelions, at this point of the summer, are they still edible?
Well, the leaves get more bitter after they flower, but the bitter flavor is good for our liver, our heart, our small intestines. And then you can dig up the root in the fall. So I like to dig up the root, scrub it, slice it diagonally, and put it in either a food dehydrator with a little tamari and sesame oil, or you can saute it. So it really does provide food the entire year. And, another thing we can learn from the plants is there's something called the doctrine of signatures. And I love the word signature because it has sign of nature in it, la signatura. And the dandelion is a survivor. And right now we're all looking at how are we going to survive chemtrails and 5G towers and electromagnetic and pollutants in the water and fracking that they want to bring to. we're going to have to look to the plants that are survivors. And the dandelion can grow through the cracks in a sidewalk. It survives pollution. It thrives well, dog pee, people stepping on it. And so I feel that the dandelion teaches us genetically because of its ability to persevere and overcome adversity. And if you go on YouTube, Bethy Lovelight has a wonderful song called Dandelion that is so educational about dandelion. And I love it. It's pretty much a lot of information from my book, Dandelion Medicine. And there you go. Every part of it.
Wonderful. I'll look for that because I was just watching her holy hemp one because I really believe in hemp as well as a opportunity to change and not use trees for paper. It works for food. It's a food source. It's clothing. It's all sorts of things. So what are you working on right now, Brigitte? Because you're so amazing, and the energy level. Just you guys, if you just even watch her energy level, you want to model that. Whatever she's doing, we want to do.
So much. Well, this weekend in Boulder at Double Rainbow Ranch, I am doing a chakra activation with Bethy Lovelight and Buddha Bomb, who's a well-respected DJ. But I'm writing a racy 60s memoir. Yes, I am. Yes, because I was there and I remember. Yes. And I'm working on a few things like that. And then, really just doing my best. I have a few projects I'd like to complete. I am a senior citizen right now. But I'd say those are the two big things right now. The racy 60s memoir, Wildflower Child.
Oh, great. Okay. So I want to tell you what people are saying. That Kathy Botchman said to counteract diabetes, eat 10 dandelion stems for 10 days. And then she said it's a Hannah Kruger remedy. And then somebody else said, really, I'm going to tell people. And then Noelle and Bob Warner are on, and they said dandelions are the symbol for the Dominher community in Italy. I didn't know that.
That's on my bucket list. I'd love to visit there.
Yeah. Maybe with Kimba. Maybe the three of us go. I speak Italian, but I'm very rusty. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that would be really fun. Well, so do you actually do any consultations with people to get them? Because I know, I remember back, I don't know, a long time ago, you taught classes with Brian Luke Seward when he was doing his stress management things. You taught about, I think it was back talking about food as medicine. But I don't know if you're teaching. I know you're doing the herb walks. Do you do one-on-ones with people?
I do have a private practice, yes, and I also Zoom with people all around the world that have health concerns. And I also teach a 10-week herbal medicine class in my living room. And I also teach at Naropa University, and I teach in Iceland at a little herb school there. So, I have lots of YouTubes out there that are very tutorial. So, every day my prayer is, use me. I want to make a positive difference. And I'm dedicating my life to this because, we want to, as you do, Kathy, we want to help people wake up and make the world a better place. And we can focus on all the problems in the world, but we can also focus on, but what can we do to make a positive difference? So we can all do something.
Yes, I really feel that a lot of this is an inside job, and then it manifests on the outside. So taking control of how you show up and making conscious choices is the first step, where you give yourself a daily routine, maybe change your diet, add more greens, where you actually get conscious and grateful for the earth, because a lot of this is a mindset. The more gratitude you have, the more things show up for you to be grateful for, right?
So true.
Right. Well, so do you have any suggestions for the listeners that might be going through stress? It seems that at least the sensitives are really feeling these energy changes. The Schumann resonance just went off the charts again, and it's only going to get stronger with the plasma input from the sun on Earth. Do you have any suggestions for people that They still are working. They may be running a company, a conscious company. Do you have anything that you would like to recommend?
Well, Kathy, it really does come back to eat the weeds, because the weeds are the survivor plants. And rather than, feeling like, oh, we're just being so bombarded, which we are, what can we do to take a stand? Because many of these wild plants, not only dandelion, but lamb's quarter, purslane, which was Gandhi's favorite food, nettles, malva, they are hardy survivors. They grow without being watered, without being planted, without being mulched. They are survivors, and we subsist on these annual vegetables that, oh, I need to be watered every 2 days, and you need to plant me after the danger of frost. So we're eating a lot of plants that are very weak. They can only grow in a temperate climate, and as soon as the frost comes, your zucchini are gone. So I'm encouraging people to eat more hardy, fresh plants, and we all know about eating more local. So a simple step would be, grow an edible lawn and eat all the colors of the rainbow. Every different color signifies different phytonutrients, like red might contain lycopene, or orange might contain beta carotene, and blue might have anthocyanins. So, eat a wider variety of colors, and I'm not talking about jelly beans here. I'm talking about things from the produce section, and include more raw food, and again, focus on what you can do to make a positive difference. I do wear, something that's supposed to protect you from EMFs. And, I could sit here and say, oh, all this radiation is giving me cancer. But I'm also saying, computers are an amazing tool. Cell phones are amazing. They're enabling us. And I think that the key is we need to learn to adapt rather than.
Oh, perfect. Well, in a couple of weeks, I'll introduce you to somebody that'll help you with that.
Okay.
And that's coming here from Mexico, and his name's Don Lynch, and he can clear your system of any resistance you have to your phone or your computer. But Zach put, why does musk thistle and wild chicory, why are they treated as non-native species in a bad way on the Front Range?
Well, I think that there's this whole thing about saying it's not native, but, so many things we eat are not native. Potatoes are not native. Tomatoes are not native. Most of our food comes from either, South America, or it was brought here from Eurasia. And look at all the people are, we're not native. Even the Native Americans crossed over from a different continent to get here. So it is the natural progression of things to, migrate and amalgamate. And, thistles are prickly. I don't like stepping on thistles. And I just helped pull up bunches of thistles. I pulled them up out of the ground and I sauteed the roots. That's something Lewis and Clark and Sacagawea did when they were traveling. Thistle roots are edible, and thistles are the ancestors of artichokes. So pull them up and learn to eat them. That's one way of dealing with it.
And I've been throwing them out. Anytime I can get rid of them, I'm throwing them out.
If you could be pulling them up and then making dinner at the same time, it saves a little time. It's best to get the roots while they're young. And then, chicory is the ancestor of endive and escarole. So you can eat the greens. The little blue flowers are edible too. And if you ever have, Louisiana style coffee like they serve at Lucille's, roasted chicory root makes a great coffee substitute.
Right. I've seen chicory used. So Zach said, I see a lot of birds and bees on thistles getting real benefit, and then they get mowed down. So
yeah,
these
are very medicinal for stimulating protein synthesis in the liver. And a lot of that is in my book, The Desktop Guide to Herbal Medicine. It's a very, very text about everything you can do with many plants. And you know what, Kathy? I also have a phone app. If any of you have an iPhone or an Android, a couple of wonderful Mormon Navy SEALs helped me design this phone app. It's called iPlant. It only works for iPhone or Android. iPlant, Brigitte Mars. So make sure you put the Mars in there. I think might be the second listing on some apps. But and you can have all this information in your phone, in your pocket. Although hopefully you don't wear your phone in your pocket all day. Keep it in your backpack.
Once Don works with you, it won't matter. So you'll see, because that's a whole nother discussion. But so is there other things that you'd like to see? I mean, when in these changes that we're going through right now, I'm assuming that there's an opportunity for people to really step up and really get over their fears of being seen and really deliver their gifts. And you are such a beautiful, beautiful example of that, Brigitte. I mean, you're just a force to be reckoned with. I love it. I so salute you, because I've known you all this time, and you were creating books back then. You were doing DVDs. You couldn't stop. You were on fire, and you still are. And is there anything that you could suggest for people? Because I had this discussion before this call with somebody about the reptilian brain, and how the ego is still, there's a lot of beings, if you believe in reincarnation, there's a lot of beings here that came here specifically for this big shift in humanity, the shift from fear to love, which hopefully we're all part of. And that's what I'm calling conscious. But there's some resistance in past life memories or protection that the reptilian brain is causing. Do you have any suggestions? Oils?
Well, yeah, I mean, this is also the answer to the stress question. Like, our reptilian brain is our hindbrain, the limbic system. And so, we could go down the neural pathway of like, I'm freaking out. And then you smell something nice, like, oh, now you can go down lavender lane. So it's just a great way to shift consciousness. And all of the essential oils, the part of the immune system of the plant. So if you were to own 3 essential oils, lavender, peppermint, and tea tree oil, you can treat many, many conditions, including shifting states of consciousness like fear. But I feel like they're also very antimicrobial and protective. They help to repel bugs, and I feel like negative energy as well. And so it's another way of like aligning with the divine principle that exists in plants that are so powerful, so beautiful, so colorful, so aromatic. So that might be another simple.
That's great. Thank you. Because that's easily readily available. And Zach put, okay, I just loaded the app on my iPhone.
Yay, thank you.
You got one person right away, and you'll get more, I'm sure. So I just want everyone on this call, I hope, here I'll put Brigitte's website back up. Please do yourself a favor. Get some of her information, follow her YouTube channel, check out everything that she's doing. This is the way to love yourself. The whole change begins with us loving ourselves again, and we are enough, and we can make conscious choices. And especially if you're a leader in a business and you're touching hundreds of people, you deserve to give yourself the gift of this. Not need, but you deserve it. So, and we are so lucky to have resources like Brigitte. Don Lynch, who I was talking about doing the energy work, who's coming here soon. Info on moringa.
Oh, well, moringa is a tree. It doesn't grow well in a temperate climate. It likes tropics more, but it's a plant that is like super nutritious. The leaves, the beans, it's, you can use the leaves in smoothies. It's high in protein, calcium, B vitamins. And there's a lot of movement to get moringa trees planted because it could really solve a lot of the world hunger problems. And, if you get one message I really like a lot it's an old proverb, but the best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago. The next best time is now. And though moringa trees are not going to grow in Colorado, we could be planting, apple trees and peach trees and plum trees and things that feed us. And again, planting trees is also one of the ways that we can help our planet better utilize oxygen, provide fodder for the bees. So you might as well plant something that also makes something edible or medicinal. So yes to moringa.
Yeah, well, Don Lynch lives in Puerto Vallarta, so I'm sure, and I do have a friend in Florida who has a moringa tree that,
right.
That I've actually seen. It says he says it grows super fast too. Sony Ade says, is the upgrade a one-time fee? Is that must be for the app?
I believe so. The app is free, but if you want to get the full deal, there's a charge for it, like an upgrade, but there's a lot of information just for free.
Okay. And so could you show one more time, could you show your encyclopedia? I only have these two books handy.
Yes, I have the desktop guide to herbal medicine. This is lots of information on many plants. It has the names in many languages too, including Italian, French, German, and then natural first aid. This is a nice little book to have in your first aid kit, because what do you do? Oh my God, someone's having a stroke. They got stung by a jellyfish. Oh, lots of things that are folk remedies that you might already have in your kitchen, like apple cider vinegar, lemon, honey, baking soda, potato. So
wonderful.
Do my best while I'm here. And Kathy, I want to thank you for the wonderful work you do, inspiring people. Thank you so much.
Yeah, well, this is the time. I really feel like the choices that we make, even if small choices, can make a world of difference. And it's time for us to be aware of all the choices, because I think part of the reason good people aren't making these choices is they just don't know. So this is an opportunity for you to get guidance from some of the experts I live in Boulder, Colorado, and I've been doing this work for 19 years. So I'm so lucky with the group of people that I call friends here, friends or customers that I've met on my journey, that I just want to share every bit of it. And Brigitte, you're just wow. That's all. I want to be like you when I grow up.
Kathy, thank you.
Okay, so one more time, I'm going to go ahead and put Brigitte's website here. And please, you guys, if this conversation inspired you, please share it. Please help us get this word out. We're powerful, powerful beings. And if we can get back to our zest for life and get out of depression and stress, just think of what we can create. It was supposed to be a playground. So let's go. Let's get back to that, right?
Let's play. And I love that you're wearing a bright, upbeat color, which I think, encourages playfulness and joy.
High energy, right? Yeah. Okay, well, thank you so much, Brigitte. And we'll be sharing this all over, and hopefully everyone will take advantage of your brilliance and benefit from you and your kids. I mean, amazing stuff. Thank you so much for what you do.
Peace and blessings to you and your listeners. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Bye-bye. Oh.